Margaret Skypen, and you're on my channel, Miami Jewels. This is a video I've thought about making it or not because there's just been a lot of talks about it. But every other client I get now is asking this question. So I figured, why not? GIA or IGI? The war, the talk on the streets, the most discussed topic of 2025, I want to say, because we just have so many discussions regarding these two topics. GIA, Gemological Institute of America, a known company worldwide, a trusted company worldwide. I am a gemologist who's been in the trade for a very long time, since 2008. And I'm going to tell you right now, my most trusted, my most reputable, my go-to appraisal, always a GIA. Being a gemologist, you have to understand that GIA is the only company, is the only gemological laboratory that uses several, in many instances, gemologists for one report. Think about it, to produce one report, sometimes GIA would have 3 people discussing the color and clarity of the diamond. As you can imagine, they would have to agree on color and clarity in order to produce that report. There is no other report today on the market that uses several people to come up with one report, which is why GIA is the strictest in the world. I'm not promoting in any way. They're not paying me for this video in any way, but I am a fan of their report. I find in my practice that their colors and clarity and cuts are just so precise and so strict that even where it's border, like I'm a gemologist, so you have to think sometimes some diamonds are border, let's say between a color G and H. It really is a very fine border. So we're human beings. You have to understand, every gemological report is made by a human being. If I'm a human being and I'm between G and H, it's really up to me to put a G color or an H color on that report. If I have 2 colleagues that I have to talk to, then it's up to me and John, let's say, and Susan to see whether it's a G or H color. So at the end of the day, we all have to agree whether it's G or H. And I find that when it comes to GIA, they would rather pick an H when in doubt than a G when in doubt. Does that make sense? So their strict levels are so high that when they're in doubt, they'll go lower than higher. And I found this because I can actually check their report against what I'm seeing. So for me, GIA will always be my favorite because I find them to be crazy strict. Now, when it comes to natural diamonds, I always advise GIA in all my videos. Absolutely all. When it comes to lab-grown diamonds, it's a little different. Although GIA have started doing laboratory certificates for lab-grown diamonds, and that was a big news for the whole industry because we weren't sure if they'll take on that project or not. I want to make you understand that before that, it was IGI who have heavily flooded the market with their certificates. Although a lot of their certificates are fine, I know that there are a lot of videos out there that you probably already watched that say that they're off a grade and so on and so forth. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. I can't say that for every single IGI certificate. I just can't. Again, in my opinion, it's human being. So when you're in a lot of borderline stones, it's up to you to go higher or lower. So if there's a stone which is between SI, and VS grade and you just don't know, some people might put the VS grade as opposed to SI. You have to understand that all the certificates are still done by a human being. So back to our conversation. There are probably around 90% of IGI certificates right now for lab-grown diamonds as opposed to, 10% GIAs. This is changing. GIA is heavily certifying lab-grown diamonds. So I'm guessing in the future years, we'll kind of have a better percentage of GIA and IGIs for you to choose from. What I recommend, I'm going to tell you right now that if you're purchasing a stone for its clarity and color, and this is super important to you, or that's your number 1 priority, then GIA is probably the way to go because they are the strictest. So if they say that the color is D or E, it is 99.9% that's the color. I have clients who say, Rita, I want to know if my diamond is CVD or HPHT. If you don't know what these are, HPHT is high pressure, high temperature, and CVDs are composite vapor disposition. So those are just different methods of growing a diamond, but I have some people who care which way they want their diamond to be grown. So if you are one of those people that cares whether you're getting HPHT or CVD diamond, and I'm going to tell you right now, there is no difference in the sense of look, in my opinion. They are both the same and they're both beautiful. But if you do care, then you have to go with IGI almost every time. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I have seen manufacturer and retailers sell these diamonds as HPHT with GIAs, which were not always true. And in this case, you have to trust someone because the GIA certificate does not show method of growth of your diamond. Listen to me very carefully. The GIA certificate does not show it. The IGI certificate will show you which method the diamond was grown, whether it's HPHT or whether it's CVD. So if this is super important to you, then I would go with IGI for your peace of mind, okay? That you are actually getting a diamond that's growing the method that you want. If you are going with IGI diamond, the safest way to do this is to go high in color and clarity to make sure that you're getting a good stone, okay? That's my 5 cents on this. Other than those two differences in the certificate, yes, the IGI has more. They show more on their report in general, but I really don't think you need any of those things that they show. Or I think that it's good for professionals, like for us who can read the report and understand, but I really don't think as a consumer you should really care. So in my opinion, I would choose GIA over IGI just because they're more strict and more correct still. But in the IGI, I would have to recommend if you're interested in the HPHT versus CVD method, because that's the only certificate that shows us today. It's Margarita Skype, and I hope you learned something new in this episode. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.